Hi, my name's Tod Machover, and I'm here to invite you to join me for a very unusual project. I'm speaking to you today from the MIT Media Lab in Cambridge, Massachusetts, in the US, and I know probably you're quite far away in Perth, Australia. What I'm proposing is to create a new composition, a work for symphony orchestra, about the city of Perth and how it sounds, how it feels. And the unusual thing about this composition is that I'll be composing it with your help. And I really mean with your help. The idea is to invite everybody who lives in Perth and maybe who comes from Perth, because as I understand it, Perth is a city where many people grew up there and are now located all around the globe doing incredibly interesting things. So I'd like all of us to think together about what Perth is like as a city, what the sounds of the city are like, what the sounds of the greater area of Western Australia are like in relationship to the city, and how we can put this together to make a musical composition. Today's October 16th, and I'll be coming to Perth in less than 2 weeks. I'll actually be there starting on October 27th, and I'll be there for just about 2 weeks. I know a fair amount about Perth through talking to friends and colleagues, to talking to people at the festival, the Perth International Arts Festival, who has asked me to compose this piece, but I've never been to Perth. I've actually never been to Australia. So I'm looking forward very, very much to the trip I'll be making soon, when I'll be able to explore the city on my own, to listen to it, and hopefully to meet many of you. We'll be organizing a series of get-togethers in a variety of contexts so that I can listen not just to the city, but also to you and to your impressions of the city. The way I propose that we work on this piece is that I'll be formulating my own ideas about how Perth sounds, but I'd love to have you start by sending me sounds that you record around the city and around the greater Perth area. These can be really anything that interests you. They can be sounds that you hear from where you live. They can be sounds of what feels to you like the most typical sounds of Perth, which could be the ocean, or they could be the desert, they could be the hills, they could be the surrounding area, they could be right in the middle of town, they could be on the Swan River, they could be in downtown. Whatever you think conjures up the feeling of Perth to you and to people who are far away and maybe have never been there. So we'll start that way. We have a website, which is http://perth.media.mit.edu. If you go to that website, you can find out all you need to know about the project. We have a SoundCloud account where you can easily upload sounds of the city. You'll be directed to the Perth International Arts Festival site, which will give you additional information about this project. But starting today, you can go out and make recordings and upload them by going to that website. It would also be fantastic if, when you record sounds, you tell us a little bit about the sound. You can do that by typing into SoundCloud. It's very easy to do. You can do it by sending us email at perth@media.mit.edu. And you can describe the sound. You could also just record a little bit of your voice telling us why you picked that sound or those sounds, what they mean to you, and what they have to do with the feeling of Perth as a city and as a place to live. So I'd love it if any of you, no matter what your background, whether you're musicians, non-musicians, young, old, anybody who knows Perth, whatever you send me will give me a sense of what Perth is like. And it will also be material that together we can weave into this composition. The composition will be for symphony orchestra and sounds, so symphony orchestra and electronics. It will be performed as the final concert at the Perth International Arts Festival on March 1st by the Western Australia Symphony Orchestra, conducted actually by Carolyn Kwan, who's an Chinese-American conductor who I've worked with quite a bit, and she's really fantastic. So she'll help us pull this all together. Once you've sent me sounds, and once I've met people, listened myself, and recorded music, sounds, words in Perth when I'm there in a week and a half, we'll be launching a series of apps online that will let all of us listen to the sounds, mix sounds together, bring those sounds together with melodies and harmonies, and basically together shape large sections of this composition. So one of these apps is called Constellation. We designed this over the last year for a similar symphony project that we did for the city of Toronto and then for the city of Edinburgh. We'll be launching a special Perth edition probably about 2.5, 3 weeks from now, once we've started to gather your sounds and the sounds that are recorded when I'm in Perth. But we'll also be launching a couple of other apps. And to be totally honest, we haven't designed these yet because until I get to Perth myself, experience the city and meet a lot of you, I'm not exactly sure what form those apps will take. But similar to what we did in Toronto and Edinburgh, the apps will allow us to take not just individual sounds, but whole sections of the composition. They may be melodies, harmonies, combinations of soundscapes, collections of sounds that we bring together. And they'll allow all of us to structure narratives made up of these sounds that will represent Perth to us. That's the way that together we'll shape this composition, and we'll make a bridge between the real recordings of sounds from Perth and the music that we all make together, and that will turn into this final symphony. So right now my invitation is to go to perth.media.mit.edu website to start sending sounds and your stories about those sounds, to write to us at perth@media.mit.edu to tell us about the sounds and to send any impressions you'd like me to have of Perth. If by any chance you get this video and want to send sounds before I actually arrive in Perth on October 27th, that would be awesome because it would help me to structure the 2 weeks that I have in Perth and to decide how to explore the city myself. And then over the next couple of months, we'll be launching a variety of apps for us to interact together around the sounds and the music of Perth to make this symphony. The symphony is going to be called Between the Desert and the Deep Blue Sea, a symphony for Perth. I think if you live in Perth, you know where that title comes from. That's exactly where Perth is. And around that idea of this kind of oasis, a city of the future right between vast expanses of land and desert and non-city, bordering on the ocean, and a sea that leads to Asia and to all kinds of places around the world. That's what we're going to be thinking about. We'll make this composition. We're launching the project now. Piece will be performed on March 1st, so we've got a lot of work to do between now and then. Please write to me, perth@media.mit.edu, to send your ideas. Look at the website, perth.media.mit.edu. Join me in making this composition about Perth and for Perth. I look forward to meeting you between October 27th and November 8th, and to working with you on this new composition. Thanks a lot. See you soon.